Cincinnati. Welcome to the jungle. Let's go. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite in Cincinnati, we gon' rise in the jungle, we unite in dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, every day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle, dripping heat. Tigers strike the city streets. East side, stand up. West side, stand up. If you reppin', who day? Time to put your hands up. Bengals stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we get it. Cincinnati, jungle fitted. Who day in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we build it. Earn our stripes, you know we kill it. Bleed our colors, jungle dripping. Nasty, natty, yeah, we live it. Lit the crowd, get the city loud. Yeah, we feasting now. Fit the bounce, make the city howl. Now we beastin' now. Thunder through the tunnel, from the sideline to the huddle. Stripes we tatted on the jungle when we flex that who they muscle on them. Stripes, Cincinnati, we gon' rise in the jungle, we unite in dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Stripes. Now who wanna move crossing on? Stripes. Now who wanna move on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em, yeah we got 'em, yeah we fought 'em. Like that black and orange upon 'em, bingo ball 'em, never stop it till the beast of beast and know 'em. Who they rockin' with the diamond stripes, flossing on the ring. Cincinnati, she's our queen, we gon' show the world who king. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite in Cincinnati, we gon' rise in the jungle, we unite in dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Now who wanna move crossing on? Now who wanna move on? Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the AFC North champs, Jackpot Joey Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now do me a favor, if you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button, smash that thumbs up. I'm up to 1,505 subscribers. That is awesome. So if you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on Twitter and you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, what are you waiting for? Please go to the YouTube channel Sports with Strawberry Ice. Hit the subscription button, hit the bell for notification, and every time I go live, you'll be notified. Also, exclusively in the YouTube chat crew, we're doing super chats. So if you like to support what I'm doing, or you just want to make sure that your comment gets read, please give me a super chat. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave. The Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. What's up to everybody in the chat? Aquil, I always say it wrong. Aquil, Roy Fresh Terry, Chris Haas, Cincinnati Bengal, you're in there. What's going on? Kip, what's up, buddy? How you guys doing today? How you doing? Nice to see you. Let's see. I get a question here from let's see. Do you know what's going on with the Cincinnati Reds yet? As far as I know, Major League Baseball has been talking with the Players Association since like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're still talking. So hopefully we'll have some good news, and we might have some baseball after all. Tomorrow on the show, I'll have some more information for you because I got Bobby Nightingale from the Cincinnati Enquirer, who's going to be on here, and he will give us the latest on the lockout and what is going on. So that will be tomorrow's show. Natty, what's going on? Crip Heaver. What's up, guys? All right, guys. So, as you know, for most of my loyal listeners, we know you have Kieran, the guy who has the Boston accent. Well, he's from the Full 10 Yards podcast, and they do other podcasts on there. They have a college podcast as well. So I have Lee Wakefield, who is one of the draft experts, and he is, we do a deep dive into linebackers of the draft coming out. We also talk about, of course, the Bengals, the offensive line, and all of that cool stuff. So I want to get to this interview. It is recorded. So if you guys, I'll be in the chat. So if you guys want to talk to me during the chat, I'll be typing stuff in, and I'll come on after the interview is over. But let's get to Lee right now. Hey, guys, what's going on? Got a very special guest today. He's another guy that sounds like he's from Boston. If you ever watch Kieran, who comes on my show, we always make fun of because, somebody asked him one time if he's from Boston. Anyway, so it's just a running joke. But we got Lee Wakefield from across the pond coming on, also from the Full 10 Yards podcast. He is a draft expert on linebackers and all things draft. Let's get to Lee. Lee, what's going on, my man?
Hey, Jeff. How's it going? Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good, brother. Good, brother. See, you got that Boston accent, so everybody picture from there. But so just give everybody a little background about yourself. If they don't know who you are, inform the viewers, please.
So I am Lee Wakefield. I write, and you can see all my work over at the Full 10 Yards, which is a UK-based site, and we cover everything American football. So we cover NFL, college football, the draft, our local kind of UK league as well called Britball, bit of betting, bit of fantasy as well. We do the absolute works. You'll find me over on the college side of things. I run things over there with my man Kieran, as you've obviously been introduced to him many times before now. He's bringing the energy. I like to think I'm the kind of sensible side of the things over there. Right. But I like to think of myself as a bit of a draft expert, as you kind of introduced me very kindly. Been studying the draft for about 7 years now, and a little bit of a speciality in the pass rushing department. So I'm here to talk about that today. Exactly.
So let's get to it, and I'll just bring up. I got PFFs here, their big board, but you just roll on through your big board of how you have the edge and what you have them ranked at, and I can try to scroll through them and bring them up here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if this is becoming a bit of a contrarian take with the way that his stock seems to be on the slide a little bit, but I think it's a bit of a media myth. But I've got I've got Kayvon Thibodeau as my number one guy.
There you go. All right.
To be honest, I know you started off with Hutchinson there, who PFF had as their number one guy. I don't have a great deal between them, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
Right.
On my scale, it's out of 100, so KT is 91.7, and just a point or so behind him, Aiden Hutchinson 90.3. They're my first round grades that I've got for this edge class so far. Like I said, there's not much difference between them in terms of like their ranking and things like that, in terms of their overall score in my system, but they're different players, right? They're really different players. Like KT is really twitched up, kind of your kind of long, lean, twitchy guy who, he's going to beat you with athleticism, left, right, and centre. He's done it for a couple of years. He's been kind of slated as my number one edge rusher for quite a while, and he's just about held off Aiden Hutchinson, who I watched last summer, and I really liked him, but I didn't see the absolute explosion that he had this year in Michigan. And I'm not a huge Michigan Wolverines fan, I'll have you know. So
neither am I, sir. Neither am I. So I'm with you on that.
I thought I'd be in a safe space to say that. To be fair,
you're safe here.
Yeah. So I didn't expect this from him and Ojabo as well, who obviously in the UK we are kind of holding as our own loosely, I think, who I have down at kind of like equal kind of fourth ranking. But yeah, these two are my two guys who I definitely have kind of together. Hutchinson's obviously kind of your big end. He's going to beat you with strength and power, whereas Thibodeau's more of your speed to power guy. But yeah, I love both of these guys. I think they can both win in the NFL on a regular basis. Probably just doing slightly different roles. I think Thibodeau's got a bit more scheme versatility, whereas you're going to have Hutchinson with his hand in the dirt, I think, in the NFL playing as a defensive end rather than a stand-up pass rusher, which I think Thibodeau's kind of can do both.
Right. So you got those two as your 1-2. Where's the rest of the let's just go with your top 5, I guess, if you got that.
Okay, so actually I've got maybe a little bit of a controversial one. I absolutely love Jermaine Johnson out of FSU, and you might have to scroll down a little bit far because I don't think I've seen him when you can scroll through PFF.
There he is.
This guy, I wasn't expecting fireworks when I got the tape on, but I found it. I just think that this guy, he really just explodes. And he's a bit like, I don't want to say a KT light, a Thibodeau light, but he really does kind of do the same as a lot of things. Wins with speed. He's got great hands. I think that he is a real good edge rusher, and he's kind of bet on himself. He's got the great story. Came from Last Chance U. I think he was in the second or third series of that, and obviously then went to Georgia, backed himself again to move again, and obviously through the transfer portal. That's a whole other can of worms. I'm sure we'll have another podcast on it at some point.
Oh yeah,
and,
exactly.
He's had an absolute explosion again. I just think with the way that he's kind of progressed through, I just think the ceiling is just all the way up in the sky for him. And he can just go on another level in the NFL and just win again. And I think I see his draft stock kind of climbing a lot. I mean, I think I'm ahead of a lot of people having him as edge 3 right now.
Right.
But I think once the combine comes along in the next week or so, and we see him absolutely blow doors off everything, I think he's going to be in everyone's hearts and minds right up there as the same place that I have him, if not ahead. Yeah,
the combine comes up, it changes a lot of things. And Kieran was already on here Friday, said he thinks the combine is stupid, which I mean, I am to the point where I think you use parts of the combine, but you got to use most of game tape. I mean, for what guys do in shorts and t-shirts. I mean, I'm a geek when it comes to stuff. I love watching it. I'll probably watch every freaking hour of it that I can when it's on the NFL Network, unless hopefully they'll let me go. But I don't know if I can go, because that's only like 2 hours from here to go there. So I would hope to go there. But that's the thing. These things are all going to change too once the combine hits too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just shows you. I mean, like I say, in fact, let me back up a little second. I kind of agree a little bit. I mean, there's only so much you can kind of show with shorts and t-shirts on, like you say, underwear Olympics and everything that we talk about. But it does give a chance for these guys. And the Senior Bowl is pretty similar in the fact that it gives guys who haven't been on the radar all year to kind of show out. The Senior Bowl did that for a few of these guys. And I think, the Underwear Olympics does it again in a few weeks after. I think, Johnson...
The Senior Bowl really helped out the Bengals because, I mean, they were the coaches there, not last year, but the year before that. And I know they drafted a lot of guys from that Senior Bowl. So I know that as far as the drafting goes and scouting for the Bengals, I know the Senior Bowl helped them out a ton.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm a Chargers fan, and we in Tom Telesco drafts from the Senior Bowl quite heavily. He loves the kind of more experienced guys. He loves to kind of get the Senior Bowl stars in there. And, yeah, it's a huge tool. And obviously, you get in a more ready-made product, I would say. And I think it's much less.
Well, if you got a guy, if you got a guy who's played all 4 years in college, they're gonna be as polished as they can get. In my opinion. I mean, yes, if you get a junior coming out and he's already ready, then yes, obviously he's ready. He's just more talented and he's ready to go. But yeah, the senior guys, you get the more mature guys too. That's another thing that I like about it. You don't have to deal with most time. I won't say every time, but most time you have to deal with all the immaturity of some of these other players that are coming out. Because a lot of guys that are seniors, they've had to work their butt off to get there. Because if you're a really good NFL player, or NFL star, you're going to come out early, and you've had a lot of stuff given to you, and but if you had to work your butt off to go all 4 years, I like those guys. I won't say better. I just think that you get a more mature, put together package than you do with younger guys.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And it's almost like you get to vet them twice because obviously the teams have that little say-so in terms of which guys go to the Senior Bowl.
Right.
Not wholly, of course, but they get, a little input. The Senior Bowl guys, head up by Jim Nagy and people like that, they, vet them, make sure that, then they sell those guys a lot as well. They put on a great show and they do put them in the shop window. And then obviously you get the same at the combine when the teams get to meet them and obviously the pre-draft meetings that the teams will have with them. So you get that second vetting. So yeah, like you say, it's all about risk management, right? The draft, because you don't want to draft someone who's not going to be in the league in a couple of years' time because they're not mature enough, like you say.
Exactly. Or
they're not a good enough player. So as much, as much kind of screen time almost as it will be nowadays, obviously Zoom on things like that.
Right.
It's going to lower that risk management for those teams, and hopefully you get a better idea of what the player's going to be like, how you're going to be able to use them, and things like that, and how they fit the culture of your team, not only how they fit the X's and O's as well.
Exactly. All right, let's get back to your linebackers here. So we had Jackson here. That was the last one you're talking about. So who that's your third ranked one? I think that's the number we're at.
That's right, yeah. And then I've got a exact same score on two, again, very different linebackers, pretty similar to my number 1 and number 2 with Hutchinson and Thibodeau. I've got George Karlaftis from Purdue and David Ajabo, who have both got an 81 score for myself. So, yeah, two different guys, two guys who I really enjoyed the tape of when I watched them. I mean, the big question mark with Karlaftis, I think I'm just looking at my sort of rankings and what I've kind of scored him out of is obviously the injuries. You know, until this year, he'd not really put together a huge amount of sort of consistent film on a consistent basis, but kind of, you know, straight from that Aiden Hutchinson kind of cloth, really. He's hugely powerful. You know, and he's bendier than people give him credit for. I think people see this huge hulking guy and they don't give him any credit for being any sort of athletic. He's kind of maybe pigeonholing him a little bit like a linear player, but I don't think that's true. I think he's, you know, got the power to play from inside all the way out to wide 9 as well. So you get a hugely versatile guy who can beat these huge NFL tackles. Maybe we'll talk about tackles a little bit later on when we talk about the Bengals. And,
we're definitely talking about tackles. We know that's going to happen.
Had to get that one in there.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, I think he's got like a lot of discipline. I think he's got a lot of motor, and I think he can really make a great career for himself. Either has a rotational lineman to begin with, playing all the way across the defensive line, and then he'll be a starter within a couple of years and wreaking havoc as well. And then we get to the bit of the joker in the pack of Jabo. Like I say, we're going to claim him for the UK. And again, I found this really funny when I was doing my research in that he doesn't even know like all the rules yet. He has to ask people every now and then, like, oh, why was that a flag, or why was this what? He's super raw. Yep. Like, you will not find a more raw prospect, but also, you know, you could say the same thing about his ceiling. You might not find a more high ceiling prospect in this whole draft, because he again has absolutely exploded this year. Opposite Aiden Hutchinson, and they've probably fed off each other quite a lot. You know, his all his physical tools are right there. He just needs to be polished up. You know, he plays an extremely high value position. And again, going back to what we said a minute ago about drafting those more senior, more polished players. Right. This guy's worth a top 20 pick because of the ceiling alone, and just because of the pure raw speed, power, production that he's got. And, you know, every pass rusher wants those guys, and they wants those talents, right? Wants those intangibles. And
sometimes the talent or the perceived talent exceeds anything, and you can't pass up on guys like this for like you said, the ceiling is extremely high for David's here. So
yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like, you know, you'll get some guys, and I like a few guys lower down my list, and I think if only they were a bit faster, or if they were a bit stronger, or, you know, their frame was a bit more filled out. He's got all that. He just needs to learn how to play the game. He just needs to learn a bit more craftiness with his hands and things like that. And
the rules too.
And that as well. That always helps. But I mean, to be fair, with the edge guys, there's not so much to do. He's not really being asked to drop in coverage and things like that. He doesn't have to know about coverages and drop zones and things like that. It's go and tackle that guy with the ball in his hand.
Put your hand in the dirt and go get the guy with the quarterback, or go get the guy with the ball.
Your mate at the quarterback. Yeah, exactly. So no, I don't think he'll have too much problems. I think, you know, the NFL team that picks him up, they'll have to simplify things maybe in year one, things like that, because you know what it's like. The NFL, it's a step up in the mental aspects of the game.
Right. And
teams will start picking on him and putting in binds and things like that, and seeing how he can kind of learn that side of the game. So we will have to pick that up. But, you know, as a designated pass rusher or something like that, first and foremost, maybe in his rookie year, he'll still get 7 to 8 sacks, I think. And then obviously once he's kind of embedded as a starter. Now,
do you see him? Do you see him as a? Do you see him as a first rounder, or is he probably more like a second round pick, you think?
Oh, I would, if I was a GM, I would pick him within the top 20 picks because of that ceiling. I don't have any problem with that at all.
Okay. Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm into my second round grades now with my top 5 here as I'm right now, but obviously that doesn't equate to where they'll actually be picked, of course. Right,
gotcha.
Yeah, no, I really like David Ajabo. I think he's got a big, bright future ahead of him.
All right, so who is that? Your top? Did we go through that? Is that the top 5? We got one more.
That is top 5, although Karlaftis and Ajabo are kind of equal, so it's kind of like equal 4. Yeah.
All righty. So this is all going to be on you guys' draft guide as well, too, right? Which is coming out here. I think Kieran told me like beginning of March. I think it's coming out.
Be about the middle of March. It'll be probably about a month's time. Yeah. Okay. If we're recording this on the 21st of February.
Yeah, so they'll have to keep an eye out for that, because you guys do a great job of in-depth stuff on college football and stuff like that. Now, as you alluded to earlier, my Bengals, as we know, went to the Super Bowl, and we just put my son just put a video out today of the last play of the game where not only was Jamar Chase wide open, but so was CJ Uzama. If we had an offensive line, which we all know we don't, we would have won the game. So, all right, now where I'm starting my draft process, my thought process with the Bengals is they're going to sign a guard or a tackle at least in free agency. With that being in mind, do you see them going after a cornerback, another offensive lineman at 31? What do you think they would be at? If, again, this is all with the premise that the guard and tackle are signed in free agency.
So, I mean, I know that Kieran's been very, very vocal about this sort of thing, but he's been saying that he thinks that the Bengals need at least 3 more starters.
Right.
By way of either the draft or by free agency.
Right.
Now, I know that the cornerback market isn't looking too great, so that probably means that you're going to draft one early, right? Mm-hmm. And the tackle market isn't amazing, but it's got some guys there that you could definitely get. You know, you've got a little bit of cap space knocking around there in Cincinnati, so there's some guys that you could get. Now, I have seen, obviously, the Chargers, and I don't want to make this Charger-centric because I know it's a Bengals podcast, but, you know, I'm just learning from my own experience of what I've kind of seen. The Chargers went out and got 3 starters last season, and it made the Chargers O-line, when they were all healthy, a million times better. And Justin Herbert wasn't sacked a million times like Joe Shiesty is all the time. So, I mean, I'd just follow that. I'd go and grab one in free agency, go and get a veteran guy, whether it be interior or on the edges, and follow that up in the draft as well. Follow that up early, you know, because you've got a superstar quarterback there, and, you know, he needs to not be on the ground half the game.
Yeah, that would help.
On 31, and do you know what? You're going to need interior and on the edge help as well. So don't pigeonhole yourself. I was doing a few mock drafts on a few sites in preparation for this for the Bengals. And I think a good way to go would be to get a versatile offensive lineman at 31. Someone like Zion Johnson. You know, we talked about the Senior Bowl. The guy showed out at the Senior Bowl playing every spot on the line, you know, from interior to exterior. So picking a player like that kind of gives you that flexibility moving forward in the later rounds. So you get someone like that, or someone that can play inside and outside, a little bit like Darian Kennard from Kentucky. And, you know, if you want to leave it a little bit later, if you want to get a corner first, and then you want to leave it a little bit later, my guy who I want the Chargers to get, so I don't need you guys to take him, but Max Mitchell from Louisiana, I'm a big fan of. I think he can play on both ends of the tackle position, and I think he's a great pass protector. So exactly what you guys are going to want. So maybe a little bit later, you know, 3rd round, maybe late 2nd.
Now, I have a question here. What about let me bring it up here. Luke here. Luke, I can't say his last name. I always mess it up.
We'll go with that because I'm not sure how it's pronounced.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on him? Because I think he's ranked as a pretty high offensive lineman as well. I've done a little bit of research on him, not much. Let's see here.
No, it's always one of those, isn't it? Where going back to circle back to what we were talking about earlier with the combine. You know, if these guys can show it in the combine, because I saw a big Bengals account, obviously Joe Goodbury, talking about the lack of athleticism that the Bengals have drafted recently and signed their low line. So, you know, if he's looking pretty athletic, then it's a winner for the Bengals, I think, moving forward. And do you know what? I think with the offensive lineman, I think, you know, he obviously played in Central Michigan. I don't think it's too much of a problem because it's pretty similar to what we were talking about with the edge rushers there. It's pretty similar, simple game, isn't it? You know, you block the guy in front of you or you communicate with the guy next to you and just stop whoever's coming at you.
Right, that would usually help.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I don't think there's a problem as long as, you know, he's got the athletic traits. I think that's what the Bengals need to do. Need to get more athletic as they move forward in the offensive line. Exactly.
Now I know. Now Kieran warned me to not bring up too much about Jackpot Joey Burrow and against. No offense, but I call him Sherbert. It's Herbert, Justin Herbert. But I know you're going to be. You know, you think obviously you think your quarterback is better, which I completely, you know, that's fine. I don't agree with it, but that's fine. You know, but what is your thought process as far as, like, I guess Joe, if Joe could do what he did this year with a crappy offensive line, and Joe Mixon can do what he did with a not very good offensive line, to me that's where Bengals fans, I think, should be excited. That's why I am so fired up about free agency. If we get a guard and a tackle, I mean, what I would love them to do is go sign a tackle and a center and a guard. I don't know if they're going to do that or not. To be honest, I don't know. I could see them, because my thought process is if we get a center, and I like Jensen from Tampa
Yeah.
Bay. If you get him, you can kick Hopkins back over to guard. And just the history of the Bengals, they don't pay guards very often. So that's where I always got that in the back of my head. So, but I guess back to my original point, I'm kind of going off here on a tangent. How good do you think the Bengals offense will be once they get an offensive line fixed? I mean, we've seen what they did against Kansas City, 525 yards. Jamar Chase ran for more yards than Patrick Mahomes threw the ball for. So, I mean, that's where I think we're looking at on a consistent basis.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. I think I've been saying it to a lot of people recently that the AFC is going to get very, very interesting and very, very exciting with all these young quarterbacks that are in there. You know, and both of our teams own one of them. So, yeah, we're going to be having some shootouts, I think, over the next 10 years or so. Plus, like I say, Kansas City, maybe the Ravens as well, and whoever else drafts one this year. But, the sky's the limit for the Bengals offense. I mean, you've got an absolute superstar at quarterback. You've got an absolute superstar at wide receiver. And, you just need to sort out that offensive line. Joe Mixon is, he's not a superstar, I wouldn't say. I don't think I'm being disrespectful in saying that, but he's a very good running back. And, like you say, sort out the offensive line. I think they think they'll go somewhere because they've got a little bit of a defense that can play as well with some top players on there as well. So, I think it could be record-breaking, to be honest with you. Chase is looking like an absolute superstar after year one. Joe, again, you just need to, protect him a little bit. 2 knee injuries in 2 years isn't, it's not great, is it? So
no, not a good way to start it.
But it's one of them, isn't it? Where if you just keep him upright, because he can, he's a surgeon out there, isn't he? So you just need to keep him upright and watch it go.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're I guess have you done? I know we're doing a lot of draft here, and I'm moving it toward free agency because that's just where my focus is right now is free agency, just because of where the Bengals are at, and this is kind of what I did last year. Before they signed Riley Reef, I was like, we got to go get Quentin Spain. We got to draft him. But as soon as they signed Riley Reef, I was like, all right, then we can go get Jamar Chase. And that's kind of where I'm at now. I got to see what we're going to do in free agency first. And I put some stuff out there for Trayvon Armstead and Ryan Jensen. And so people came at me, which they're right. And I said, this is dream scenario, which doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. They are the most expensive guys out there. And the Bengals have got, we've got Jesse Bates, we got Larry Ogunjobi, we got BJ Hill, we got all these other guys that we have to sign. In my opinion, we have to sign. So we can't, and we have about $50 million under the cap, which we have a lot of money, but you can't really spend all of it on 2 guys, maybe 3. You have to have some left over. So what are some other guys, I guess, in free agency that you could see that would be another some good offensive line? Like I know my buddy Dale says Austin Cobert's a good one.
I mean, if you're not looking at the top guys, I know that a couple of Chargers fans are really up for Dennis Kelly, who's been at the Packers and most recently the Titans. It was a bit of a bargain basement right tackle to come in and exploring that option. Not 100% sold on it, but I know that he's not got a lot of tread on the tires, even though he's quite advanced in age. He's a good pass protector, reasonable in the run game. So if you're not going to up for spending a great deal of money, then I think Dennis Kelly would be a reasonable option from what I've heard from other people. It's not someone that I'm, like I say, hugely involved in or hugely kind of want the Chargers to go after. Right. But, that wouldn't be too bad. I mean, to be honest, just taking you back a couple of steps, you can let BJ Hill go because I'm happy for the Chargers to sign him, and you can save you some money that way if you like.
See, that's the thing. To me, people are like, oh, BJ Hill might be gone. I'm like, I'm to the point. I mean, I love Larry Ogunjobi. I do. I think he was a little more inconsistent. When BJ Hill got in there, got playing time. I want to sign both of them. To be honest, I want to sign them both back. But if I'm going 1A, I'm kind of like, I want BJ Hill. You got to get him because he made some really good plays down the stretch. And in my opinion, he's more consistent than Larry O was. But Larry still is a very, very good player. So I want them to sign him so you guys don't get him.
How about if you wanted a center then as a alternative to Ryan Jensen, because I think a lot of teams are going to want Ryan Jensen. How about Matt Paradis? As a player that I'm familiar with, he used to play for the Broncos, coming out of Carolina. From what I've seen when he used to play for the Broncos, he was a really, really serviceable center. He's
Ben Johnson? Is that who you said?
Matt Paradis.
Oh, okay. I gotta try to find him here.
Okay. But yeah, I think he'd be reasonable. You've got the doctor, Lauren Duvernay-Tardif. I think he's on his way out of Kansas City. You could grab him for a little bit of a bargain basement option again.
Mm-hmm. So these are all, let's see here. And then there's another one on here. Austin Reeder. I don't know about him.
Yeah, those scores aren't looking too healthy from PFF there.
No, see, I'm such a geek. I can just sit and scroll through all this crap and
We're
look
one
at
the
it.
same, my man.
It's addicting sometimes. You scroll through this. Ooh, that guy's good. Ooh, that guy's good.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, the guy I'd really like to get is up here, Ryan Jensen. I mean, but it would be they're projecting 3 years, $13 million, guaranteed 24.25 guaranteed. So I don't know. That's a lot, but I mean, he's one of the best centers in the NFL too.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers went out and got Corey Linsley and made him the most high-paid center in the league. So if you go on premium players, you're gonna have to pay premium prices. Unfortunately, it's one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, we did so much. We've done the I don't want to say bargain basement thing, but they haven't really went out and spent a ton of money on the offensive line. They spent a ton of money on defense in the last couple of years, and they've been smart about it. I mean, we didn't have anybody that broke the bank. I mean, let's be honest. The guys they signed, Chidobe Awuzie, Trey Henderson, all of them were on the upper echelon. They're in their mid-20s, early 30s, right around there, and they're on their way up, and they signed them to good money, 4-year contracts, and that's I think where they're going to try to do the same thing as far as the offensive line goes, and that's where I keep trying to look at this to see who might be there. And I think I said I like Ryan Jensen, but yeah, I could see there's Brandon Allen from your Chargers there, or that's the Rams. Sorry, my bad. Which that would be weird to get him though. Since we just played him in the Super Bowl.
It's one of those. I think you've got to have a bit of a hybrid way to go about it. I think you've got to get some experience in there, the guys that know what they're doing and provide that leadership. And then you've got to draft a couple as well, because you can't fill. I mean, we're looking at like guys who are like say mid to late 20s, early 30s. You can't go for too long on those guys. And I mean, it's about establishing that room, isn't it? That culture. I think that's something that's really, really important. And to bring along those young guys, because I know you've also got Jonah Williams there. He's obviously had a couple of knee injuries and stuff like that, but he's probably underperformed his draft stock a little bit and his draft position and where you got him. I think it's about kind of someone who can maybe bring the best out of him as well as a veteran guy. Right. As well as bringing someone along who you're going to draft in the near future, next couple of months.
Yeah, there's Reef, and I'm not sure. I wouldn't mind. Another thought process I have with Reef is you could sign him and you could possibly kick him over in the guard too if you signed another tackle. Because
he's pretty versatile, isn't he?
Yeah, he could. I mean, he was a left tackle. He came here and played right tackle for us, and then you have Trenton Brown. But I mean, I know the two big guys. Let's see here. Get up to the top here. There's Orlando Brown. That's one that would be nice, but I don't know what your thoughts on him. I don't think Kansas City's going to let him go, to be honest. I really don't.
I don't either, but there was a little bit of rumble that he wasn't too happy there, even though he's only just arrived there last summer. But I don't know. I've never been 100% sold on him. Obviously, he backed himself, wanting to play left tackle. I think he was good. Obviously, his PFF ranking there's pretty decent, 75 or so. I don't think he's a superstar that he thinks he is, though. I think I don't know. I'm never 100% sold on it, as you can tell by the way I'm kind of dancing around this a little bit. I think it's better out there.
What concerns me about him is if he's not happy in Kansas City, he wasn't happy in Baltimore, and now he's not happy in Kansas. I mean, guys like that, I'm kind of like, I don't know. We have such a good culture with our team. That's where I'm like, I don't know if it's worth bringing them in. Then there's Trayvon Armstead, and which is the guy I'd like to see. But actually, the funny thing is, somebody tweeted me out, or it was on Facebook, I can't remember which one, of how many games he's actually missed the last couple of years. He hasn't been that durable. So to me, that's where I'm like, with that in mind, that they're going to use that against him. So 3 years, $20 million, they might be able to use that against him to get it cheaper. I don't know if teams.
I mean, it's one of those, isn't it, where if your GM can leverage that against him, then it might be happy days, because you don't want to chuck a ton of money at a guy and then him not to play. I mean, again, Brian Balaga, that's ghost of Brian Balaga haunts us over in LA. So
we had that in Trey Wayne's here, where we signed him and we didn't get anything out of him. So those are your two best tackles. Then you got DeJuan Brown. That's another one you could get. I mean, there's a lot. The thing is, there's Morgan Moses. That's another, but I think he's a bit older.
He's a little bit older. Yeah. I mean, you've got Trent Brown as well, who's probably the premier tackle for my money of someone who might actually be available. Because if we're saying not Orlando Brown might not be, but he's enormous, isn't he? He's a scheme fitter. That's that size for an offense that probably wants to get more athletic. And Joe obviously likes to move around. You probably want to get the platform moving there at quarterback, and does he fit? Because he's enormous.
Yeah, he's 6'8", 380.
Yeah.
That is ginormous. I wonder how see how old he is. I can't see it on my screen. Well,
93, so he's late 20s. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Jeez, I'm old. That's the year I graduated high school. He's dating myself here, man.
He's like, what, 20? That's what making that 29 next season, doesn't it? So
yeah,
he's in his prime.
That's the wheelhouse we were talking about trying to get somebody in, as far as the tackle goes. And then we go to the guard position because I know my buddy Dale here said, let's see, guards. Austin, what's his name? Yeah, Cobert. Here you go. Yeah, the one we talked about before. He's one that
Rams.
Yeah, he's one that's projected. I think that so a lot of Bengals fans are saying that he might be worth getting as well. And he's a guard, so you get him and Trent Brown at tackle, and he's born in 95, so he's in his 20s.
Yeah, and then you get in, you're managing to refresh the offensive line. These guys have had success, obviously coming from like the Patriots, the Rams. They're going to have that winning culture instilled in them already. So, it's easy to bring along those young guys when you can say, well, you need to listen to me because I've got this on my finger. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. I might know what I'm talking about. So, anyway, all right. So we talked about the offensive line. We talked about the free agents here. Let's talk a little. We did touch on cornerbacks a little bit. What are your? That's another position I think the Bengals are in need of, is to get at least a number 2 cornerback. What is your ranking, or where do you guys have as far as cornerbacks go coming out in the draft? Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think there's a clear kind of like 3. I think there's a top 3 that, for various reasons, I think you can have them in different orders. I think Derek Stingley is the most talented corner in the class.
Right.
But obviously, injury history, especially recent injury history, makes people very nervous about him. I know Kieran's, even though he's an LSU fan, I think Kieran's become very, very nervous about Derek Stingley and how hyped he was about him about 12 months ago.
Right.
And now he's all over Sauce Gardner. I also think the other one is Andrew Booth as well. I think Andrew Booth got flying under the radar a little bit from Clemson. I think he is an extremely talented corner. But, even though I'm saying it's, these top 3, I think there's quite a lot of depth there. So, if you didn't want to go for one of these guys at 31, like, none of these guys will be there at 31. But someone like Trent McDuffie, Roger McCreary might be there, who are super, super talented guys as well. Martin Edmondson from Mississippi State as well is another guy I quite like in that range. But then if you want to wait, I mean, this draft is deep at cornerback. Tariq Woolen, from UTSA, Darian Kendrick. I think these guys they're all really, really good. So yeah, you've got a lot of guys who I feel that you could get in the first couple of rounds. I'm not a massive fan of Kyer Elam. He's one who I would avoid personally.
Right.
But yeah, if you want an outside starting cornerback in this league to either be a now CB2, future CB1, I think any of these guys that I've just reeled off can do that for you.
What's your thoughts about Kobe Bryant because I'm a Bearcat fan, so I mean, sure. I think Kobe Bryant I don't think he's a first rounder. I think he's more a second round, late third round pick. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I'd have him in that kind of range. I think those two that have formed that partnership over there, I feel that they're really, they're a really strong partnership, and that's what you want, isn't it? You don't want to kind of have one guy who's up here and one guy who's kind of much lower, because you got to get the other guy picked on quite a lot. But no, I think he's a playmaker as well, isn't he? I think he's got a few picks out there. I've seen a couple that I can remember from this college football season, where he's taking one over the shoulder, like a wide receiver would on a 9 route. You know what I mean? And he's taking that in. So I don't know if he used to play there at all. I've not really delved into him in his background too much. But the tape-wise, yeah, I like what I see. I think he's a real top prospect, and you've got the height and length up there. He's got that in abundance. So you've got a pair of corners there out of Cincinnati who have got the size, have got the measurables to do so, and have got the skills to do it as well.
Right. I mean, so like I said, even if we dream scenario for me is if they do, like I said, sign 2 offensive linemen. I mean, I'm with Kieran. I would love them to sign 3. I don't know if they're going to do that or not. I could see them signing 2 for sure. But then you get an offensive lineman at 31, and then you get Kobe Bryant at your second round pick, and that's where I think we get that. We need to, in the rest of the round, the rest of the picks need to start drafting for depth. That's one thing that. Now, let's be honest. The Bengals got lucky this year, and we were very, very healthy. I mean, they were all up till the end of the season. Larry, I'm sorry.
I said it's what you need. You need a bit of luck. You need that health to stay there for you guys.
Right, exactly. And all up till right before the Super Bowl, and we lost Riley Reef and we lost Larry O. Those are the two big ones. And that goes to me is where we have to get depth in our linebacking core and our offensive line, tight ends, and cornerbacks. Those are like the 4 positions I think we really need the most depth in. And I know some people are tweeting out like, oh, we got to get rid of Jax Carman, got to get rid of Akeem Adeniji. and Isaiah Prince. And I'm like, no. I don't want to get rid of them. I'm like, we're not going to be able to keep all of them if we sign two. But you have to keep these young guys for future. And my opinion is our future tackle, possibly guard, is Jackson Carman and Deontay Smith. I think those two are for sure future guards for us. I think Deontay Smith has a chance of being a future right tackle horse too, as well. So to me, that's where I'm like, I want to sign a guard, but I'm not big on signing for like 4 years. I want to sign up for like maybe a 2-year deal or something and let these guys develop behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what it's all about is it's all about, like you say, getting that depth and raising the floor of that room, right? Because you can sign a free agent who raises the ceiling a bit, but then you've got to draft those guys that raise the floor. If you can get a guard in the early day 3 and he's better than Jackson Carman, then you're going to let Jackson Carman go, but you raise that floor, right? That's what it's all about across the whole team, not just the line, but obviously the line is a bit more important because you've got so many of them. You're going to carry 9-10 offensive linemen, right? And obviously you want that room to be as deep as possible because next year you might not have as much luck as you had this year. Or that goes for every team as well.
And most likely we won't. I mean, like I said, they were very, very healthy, and well, let's just look at 2020. Bengals were extremely unhealthy. I mean, everybody was hurt. I mean, Joe Burrow was hurt, Joe Mixon was hurt, CJ Uzomah was hurt. I mean, DJ Reader got hurt. The list goes on and on. Now, if you have major injuries like that, it doesn't really matter how deep you are. It's not, you're not going to be able to replace all of those guys. But the thing is, most likely we will have a little bit more injuries this year than we did last year. So that's where I'm like, we have to get the depth pieces. And that's why I'm so big on getting at least 2 offensive linemen. I would personally like them to sign a cornerback. I like J.C. Johnson out of New England there. I think he would be a good one to pick up, but I don't know if they're going to do that or not. I could see them mostly just sticking with the offensive line.
Yeah, I think quite again, like Ryan Jensen, I think quite a lot of teams would like to sign JC Jackson. I don't think he'll escape New England though, because as much as they don't like to pay their own, they've obviously just lost Stephon Gilmore as well. So losing 2 top end cornerbacks, after one after the other is pretty hard to take, I would say.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the thing is that they don't like to spend money, but the Patriots did spend money last year, and that's kind of what it's come down to. Something look, let's be honest. The best way to do it is to draft the guys and develop them yourself. That doesn't always work. Yeah. I mean, you just take the Bengals, for instance. I mean, how many guys have we drafted as far as the offensive line goes, and we haven't really hit on anybody. We got Jonah Williams, but Jonah Williams still hasn't gotten to the all-pro level left tackle that he was projected to be. And that's why there's a lot of talk of kicking him to right tackle or possibly kicking him into guard this year. But really, he's the only offensive lineman that is consistent that the Bengals has worked for the Bengals the last couple of years. I mean, we had Billy Price, who, thank God, we turned into B.J. Hill, which was the steal of the century. That'll go down as, I think, the greatest trade in Bengals history, I think. But, I mean, those are the guys that we've had to deal with here. And then we got Jackson Carman, who I'm not saying he's a bust. And I go with like what Duke Tobin said. Duke Tobin said it takes 2 or 3 years for offensive linemen to develop. The problem with he's right on that, but the problem with that is the Bengals needed Jackson Carman to hit this year. They needed him to be able to plug in and play, and that was the problem with that pick. Now, the good thing is, I'll say this too: everybody said, "Well, we traded back, could have got a better offensive lineman," which is true. But if they don't trade back, then we don't get Evan McPherson in the 5th round as a kicker either. So that's where I'm kind of like, you can always go, we should have done this, should have done that, but this, hindsight's always 20/20.
I was going to say, coulda, woulda, shouldas always win, don't they? So it's hard. Exactly. It's really hard.
Yeah, that's where the Bengals, the only thing they really missed, and I'm not going to say they missed, but they missed as far as what they needed Jackson Carman to be for them this year. They needed him to plug and play right guard and put him in there and forget it. And he wasn't. And we're still back at the next year trying to figure out the same thing as far as the offensive line goes as we were last year. We need a right tackle, we need a right guard, and maybe possibly a center. What's your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on Trey Hopkins at center? Because I don't think he's terrible. I think he's recovering from his knee injury. I think that had a lot to do with it. But if you get Jensen to kick him over to guard, I'm fine with that, though.
I think he's probably about a league average center, right? Starting center. Like you say, he's recovering from a knee injury. Obviously, playing on the defensive line, they're under so much pressure on the knees. It's difficult to just bounce straight back. It's really, really difficult. Like I say, I think early on, I think you should be targeting a versatile offensive lineman, maybe one guy who can play center guard or guard tackle, something like that, because it gives you that flexibility. Then moving forward, you've got some guys who obviously you just named. Williams could move around. You've got some other guys that you mentioned previously who could have some versatility. And it just means you can not just throw what you think out there is your best 5, but you've got that combinations, right, that you can have in training camp, and you can think, well, might not have been where they played last year, but they've shown out in training camp and they can all play together. So this is our line moving forward. Because, what is it, 102 sacks in 2 years or something like that for Joe Burrow? It's got to reduce, hasn't it? You're probably absolutely sick of people saying that to you as Bengals fans, but it's the biggest problem on the team, because at the end of the day, you've got a team that can play on both sides of the ball. You've got an absolute legend in a kicker, so you've got some guy who can come on and win a game for you in the last seconds. He's proven it in his rookie year. I think he's going to be one of the best in the league in a couple of years. And he's got the mindset for it as well, as he's kind of shown out in the playoff games.
Exactly.
You just need to keep him upright. You just need to keep number 9 upright.
That's all. I mean, as simple as that sounds, that's what they've been trying to do for the last 3 years, and they haven't been able to do it yet.
You've got to have that. You've got to have some linemen who are versatile, right? You can't be like, okay, I'm just going to draft a center, because unless they're in round 1, for me, I don't draft guys who just play center. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have some versatility.
Yeah, especially even at 31, even if you draft a lineman at 31. It's 31. It still doesn't necessarily. I mean, he could be. There are lots of guys that have been drafted at 31 and they're plug and play starters. But it's 31. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be too. But if you get a guy who's versatile, that makes it better for him. Also, if he can play multiple positions, he's got a better shot of getting playing time in general. So we have not only do we have Riley Reef as a free agent, we also had Quentin Spain. And I'm a big Quentin Spain fan. And I know Spain got beat on the very last play. And he got beat left where he could not get beat. He got beat. And it sucks. But I'm of the idea that I'm okay with signing him out. He's not going to take a 1-year prove-it deal. He's going to probably want at least a 2-year deal. I'm okay with bringing him back. This is my thought process. If you bring him back and you sign Jensen and you sign a tackle, you spend your money on your center and your tackle, you can have Hopkins at guard and Q at the other guard. And people are like, well, that'd be the same problem we had this year. I said, difference. You got an all-pro center, an all-pro right guard, and an all-pro left guard or left tackle. Tackle. That makes the guards better. That's my thought process with this.
Yeah, you can't have 2 weak links on the offensive line playing next to each other. So you've got to have a top-end center and or top-end tackle looking after a guard, or a top-end guard who's looking after you if you tackle. Right. If you have a guard and a center or a guard and a tackle on one side that are both iffy, then you've got some problems, and it doesn't need Aaron Donald to wreck the game for you. And you know what? I'm gonna join you in sticking up for Quentin Spain a little bit, because at the end of the day, it's Aaron Donald. Like most top guards in the league get beat by him every single week. It just happened that it just happened at the last time, the last possible second that it could have happened in the game. Right. And he wrecks the game, because that's what he does every day. every day goes out there on the field. Yep. And you know what? The Rams front and the way that they set things up schematically, it's really fucking tough. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. It's tough for offensive linemen, especially if they're not real top-end linemen. Yeah. Because you can put some guys in there like Greg Gaines, who came out of Washington a couple of years ago as just a guy, a 0-1 tech guy. Mm-hmm. He's a superstar now. Well, not superstar, but he's borderline, because of the way the Rams do it and the guys that you play next to. And this is what we're talking about. But I'm talking about the defensive side of the ball, and you're talking about the offensive side of the ball. You just need to get some guys who can look after your lesser tackles. You don't need 5 superstars. No. And even if you do you know what I mean? You had the Dallas Cowboys a few years ago, and they did have 5 superstars, and they still didn't get there.
Right, exactly. I mean, you just need 5 guys who could work cohesively together and not have communication problems, because we've had. For some stupid reason, they still had communication problems all year at the worst time, it seemed like. Yeah. It's a cohesive unit. So, but I mean, like I said, if they sign a tackle and a center, I'll kind of be surprised. I think they're probably going to sign a guard, and I do think they're going to sign a tackle. And I could totally see them re-signing Quentin Spain, and I think Trey Hopkins will be our center next year. I mean, like I said, I want them to completely fix this. I'd like them to go all in and get some really top guys, but I don't know if that's going to work out or not. But the other thing the Bengals have got to look forward to is they have Joseph Osai coming back as an edge rusher for next year. So that's the other thing in the draft. I like to add some more depth on the edge, and people keep saying that, but I'm like, we have Joseph Osai, and if he is as good as he flashed in the preseason game, I think we're going to be pretty good right there.
Yeah, that was a cruel injury, wasn't it? Because Joseph Osai was a player that I quite liked last year, and I think you got him in exactly the same sort of range as what I would have thought.
Right.
The motor on Joseph Osai is ridiculous, and he showed that out. Like I said, he made some plays in the preseason, and you've already got pretty decent pass rushers as it is. With Hendrickson and And the other guys that you got there, Hubbard, and in what you got going through the interior, Osai can be that relief pitcher of a guy. He can come on, he can keep the energy up, and he can keep after the quarterback, especially late on when the tackles are tiring, those big bodies are wearing down a little bit because, you've got other, I'm just talking about schematically with the Rams, you guys could do something like that where you could push Hendrickson inside, leave Osai on the edge. And,
right.
He's a versatile player again, and versatility is not be all and end all. Sometimes it's a bad thing, but Osai can play linebacker as well. So you can disguise some things back there.
But it goes to your point, you're talking about offensive lineman guys who play multiple positions. That's what Joseph Osai could do. And the thing is, then Trey Henderson and Sam Hubbard don't have to be out there every freaking snap.
Yeah.
If you get some kind of rotation. Because anytime, and I'll give this a shout out to Zim Hude on Twitter here, where he put out there that he wants the Bengals to be extremely deep on defense, like the Philadelphia Eagles were a couple years ago, where they can just rotate guys in and out and they don't get tired. And the Bengals are close to that. I mean, they have to add some more depth pieces, and I keep going back. That's why I want to fix stuff in free agency and then just draft for depth pieces. So I cannot wait. Go ahead. You got something else to say?
I was going to say the key to doing that, and the Philadelphia example is a really good one. The key to that is not only drafting and bringing through your own guys, and you've got your superstars and your guys that you're bringing through the draft, is finding one or two veterans out there that don't mind coming in, playing for a little bit less money. And to be that that rotational piece. I'm thinking of like Michael Bennett, Chris Long in that Super Bowl Eagles team, who came in, did a job, and now they've got a ring on their finger, as I was saying before. Wasn't about the money for those. So if you can pick up, a guy, because you can sell it to people now, right? You can sell it to the free agents out there. Because you say, well, look, we were, a game away, we were a step away from it all. You're the guy to bring us over the edge. I can imagine Zach Taylor and the GM and everyone else in the front office kind of selling to veterans like that, and the right ads bring up that culture, bring up that winning mentality, and again can just bring you over the edge because you've got that rotation, that depth. And it's not costing you an arm and a leg because they're after the ring, they're not after that paycheck, right?
Exactly. That's that, and I think like Bengals fans went nuts when Gronkowski said that he wanted to play for Joe Burrow if he came back and played for anybody. And look, if they signed Gronk, great. I mean, that's not even a thought process to me, to be honest. I think I like CJ Uzomah. And there's nothing against Gronk. I like CJ Uzomah. I think we can get a better backup in the draft than Drew Sample. My thought process is listen to what he said. Gronkowski, who all he wants to do is chase rings. If he plays, he wants a chance to win it. He's going to go. That's coming from him. That's other players are going to say the same thing. I'm going to go play with that guy, Jackpot Joey Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
But, we're a minute 45 left to win the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow having the ball in his hands. If you do that with a better offensive line, we win. So that's where I think some of these guys are going to take less money. And that could include some of these offensive linemen who, they could say like, all right, I could go here for more money, but I could go here and play for Joe Burrow. That's what DJ Reader did a couple years ago.
Yeah. He
got offered more money by, I don't remember the team, but he wanted to come to Cincinnati and play for Joe Burrow. And that's what I think can happen or is going to happen this offseason. Guys are going, like you said, they're going to want to come here and chase that ring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, no NFL player is poor, right? So they're gonna make some bank anyway. So they, if that's what they want, then fair enough, go elsewhere, play on an average team or a poor team, and be a millionaire for the rest of life. Or you can be a slightly poorer millionaire, and you might be on some hardware to sell, to have at the end of it.
Is there such a thing as a poor millionaire?
Well, you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah. If there is, I want to be a poor millionaire. Excuse me.
One less zero on the bank account.
Yeah, exactly. One thing about football players, I would never slight them for going after the money because
of course.
Their career is so short and so limited. So I totally understand of them trying to get as much money as they can for as long as they can.
Mm.
But then, like I say, you get to the point where you've made enough money. You made your money your grandkids are going to have. Go get that ring, and that's where a lot of guys are at.
Because that's what people remember, right? Fans remember. We want people to be that hero in the Super Bowl.
Right. Yep. They want to go on TV. Say, I'm going to Disney World. All right, Lee. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Tell everybody about your podcast, when it's on, the draft guide, and everything going on at the Full 10 Yards.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again. So, Full 10 Yards. I probably rep the Full 10 Yards college branch a lot more. So our Twitter account is at Full 10 Yards CFB, college football. My handle, which you can see on the screen below, at Wakefield 90. And like I say, find all my writing. Everyone's writing over there. We've got a full gang of us writing about college football at full10yards.com. We're going to have a draft guide out for you guys in about a month's time. We can get a hard copy out to you. We can get it sent out as a PDF for you guys over in the States. And you're going to get is a pretty comprehensive guide of every position, about 300 players or so. And it's just going to be, the go-to place. It's not going to be super expensive or anything like that. And we'll probably... But probably be back kind of a yearly feature, to be fair. This is going to be our second iteration of it. So, come and support us and come and read our work as well. Because, people over the pond, we're getting to know this sport now and we know what we're talking about.
That's what I try to tell people. Like, these guys know what they're talking about. They got some info. And it's now, like I said, Kieran's trying to school me on some. Well, like I said, we call it soccer. I don't know if you guys call it football. Trying to school me on that. So I got to try to learn that. We actually have a professional soccer team here now. Still haven't been to a game yet. I'm probably going to try to go this summer. But Lee, as always, I appreciate you coming on, and let's do this again when we get closer to the draft.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeff. I appreciate it. I'll see you soon.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. These guys are full 10 yards. Yeah, they sound like they're from Boston. Yeah, they're across the pond. But you know what? They know what they're talking about. They got some pretty good stuff on their podcast. And like I said, they got the draft guide coming out here soon. So I love some of the comments in the chat. Royal Flush Share, I think he had a really good point here about Joseph Osai. He said he's still a known variable. He might be an injury-prone player and never pans out. We need insurance at the pass rush. And I agree with you on that. You never know. And that's the thing, too, is we might be able to get some of these guys on one-year prove-it deals that want to go get a ring and can help us with that pass rush. And we can find out about Joseph Osai, is my thought process. And I do like the idea. Marjay Sanders, of course. I like that. Bearcat. I love the kitty. We'll see what happens. Now, this one, Cincinnati Bengal, you are absolutely positive, and I hope you're right. He said, we're going to be the talk of the offseason for free agencies because Mike Brown knows that we need to sign offensive linemen. And I'm betting, y'all, any more money, he's going to sign 3. And that sounds great. If they sign 3, sign me up. I am all for that. He said, and like I said it when I was talking to Lee. If you're going to spend money, I would spend. If they're only going to spend it on 2, as well, I'll say it this way: if they only spend it on 2, for me, I'm like spend it on that center, spend it on that right or left tackle, and then you can go cheaper on guards if you want to. I prefer them not to do it, but that's kind of been the Bengal way. I don't spend that much money on guards. That's why I'm saying that. But if you have 3 solid guys in the middle and you have 2 okay guys in the guards, you probably can be okay with that, and that would give Jackson Carman and Deontay Smith another year at least to develop to possibly be our future guards. Just thoughts. I don't know. We'll see. We got a long ways to go. We're just getting started, people. This is going to be fun. Like I said, I can't wait till free agency hits March 15th. What is it? Next week, I think, is the combine, I think. So I'm going to be watching that. I hope you guys will too. I hope you guys enjoyed that. But let me get to the Facebook groups that let me live stream. And always, I appreciate every single one of them. They are Houday Nation, Houday Legion, Bearcat Ruckus, Bearcat Country, Cincinnati Reds, rounding third, heading for home, the Ohio State Bucknuts, the Ice Cave, and you can follow me on all my social media platforms, all under sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Twitter handle is at Jeff A. Trunipole. TikTok is at Iceman90. I put a TikTok up over the weekend. It kind of blew up. I'm confident we're going to be back. Check out, if you want to check out the podcast, the sound will be up there later on tonight. It's on Beanpot, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. I would greatly appreciate it. YouTubers, my originals, we're at 1,505 subscribers. You guys are awesome. Get the last couple comments here. Jeff Holmes, what's up? I hear they're going after one of the Cowboys' offensive linemen. Which one would that be? Are you talking about as a trade, free agent? What are you talking about? Jeff Anderson, what's up, Jeff? Been a while. Still sad about the loss, but what a future for us. Exactly. That's one thing I want everybody, and I said this during the season, and I hope you guys did. Enjoy the hell out of this football season. I think we got a shot at going back next year. I think we got a really good shot at going back next year. But you never know. But enjoy this first one because there's nothing like the first time. There's nothing. It'll be cool next year. But, remember the 5 years we kind of got, okay, let's win a playoff game. Well, if we keep going to the Super Bowl or keep going to the AFC Championship game, we're going to be like, we're going to start getting spoiled going, okay, can we win this thing already? So let's enjoy this. I hope we can. It says that, Bengals, how's Jeremy doing? I haven't been able to get a hold of him. I called him a couple times, which, I mean, he's at home. He's recovering. So he's out of the hospital. He's back home. He's got his family down there helping him. So last time I talked to him, he said it's probably going to be at least 4 or 5 weeks before he is somewhat moving around by himself. Again, I haven't got to talk to him since last week. Like I said, I've tried to call him, but he's he's recovering from a broken back, so he might be a little busy to answer my phone call. But as soon as I find out some more stuff, I will let you guys know. Greg, I heard they might let the tight end go. I sure hope not. I don't see that happen. You mean CJ Uzama? Is that who you're talking about? And then Jeff says, can't remember the name. Just keep an eye out for the Cowboys lineman. All right. I will definitely keep an eye out for them. So tomorrow on the show, if anybody wants to know, I know this is hugely a Bengals podcast, and it says Cincinnati sports. So I do try to cover some of the other sports as well. So I know we got baseball. Well, maybe. And they're meeting. From when I went on the air, they started that meeting at 1:00, and as far as I know, there's still players and owners are still meeting. So I'm going to have Bobby Nightingale on from the Cincinnati Enquirer tomorrow, so we can hopefully find out the latest on baseball. And, of course, we're going to talk Bengals. By the way, go check out the video my son did. It's on the channel. It'll tear you up inside because not only was Chase open, but so is CJ. Oh, Uzama. We need to get an offensive line. Oh, my goodness. Yes, we need to cut Trey Waynes. Yes. Yeah, I'm 90% sure they're going to cut Trey Waynes. So, Paul, what's up? What's up, Jeff? What's going on? I'm glad you mainly covered the Bengals. Yeah, mostly 90% is Bengals. It's a Bengals-centric podcast, but I do say it's Cincinnati sports. I try to cover some other things, but I love my Bengals, and I'm glad you guys like listening to what I have to say and different people that I have on here. So I think that's it for today's show. Again, go follow the Full 10 Yards College podcast. Go follow the Full 10 Yards. Like I said, they cover. They do a really good job of covering the NFL, and I think it's interesting because they have to watch it, late at night. I think they said the games are like 6, and they're done by like 9. They can't watch Thursday. Well, they could watch Thursday or Monday nights, but they'd be up till like 2 or 3 in the morning. But these guys cover it. They do a very good job. Go check them out. Full 10 Yards podcast. Kieran. Now you know Lee. I had Sean on here. Maybe get some more guys that sound like they're from Boston on the show. But other than that, as my boy, Jeremy D likes to remind everybody, remember one thing, and one thing only, and that is you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati, so act like it. And that's coming from a guy who lives down in Alabama. Go figure. And other than that, that's just sports, baby. See ya!
Let's go. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast disobey, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, day we ignite and Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and dripping orange and black and white. Day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, every day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle dripping heat, tigers strike the city streets. East side stand up, west side stand up. If you reppin' who they, time to put your hands up. Bengals stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we get it. Cincinnati jungle fit it. Who they in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we build it. Earn our stripes, you know we kill it. Bleed our colors, jungle dripping, nasty, natty, yeah, we live it. Lit the crowd, get the city loud. Yeah, we feasting now. Fit the pounds, make the city howl. Now we jungle when we flex that who they muscle on them. Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and dripping orange and black and white.